Happiness is a choice. A lot of people make happiness their life goal. That's not good because most people confuse pleasure on the one hand with happiness on the other hand, and they are completely distinct. Sometimes one can kind of lead to the other, but generally speaking, they're very distinct ideas. And so when the reason I don't like people saying like, "Oh, I want to find happiness in life, like my goal of life is happiness," is because one, you can just choose to be happy right now. Two is because they usually confuse pleasure with happiness, which means in order to achieve their life goal of happiness, they basically ruin their lives and ruin their chances of being happy. And three, they fall under the illusion that you can only be happy if you have something. You can only be happy once you achieve something, which is not true. And how do I know it's not true? How can I prove that happiness is a choice? Firstly, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy belief. If you believe that happiness is a choice, and you believe that you can choose to be happy and choose to be happy, then you will be happy. But if you believe that happiness is only reserved for the elites, or it's only something you get one day far off into the future, then you will never reach happiness. How do I know happiness is a choice? That was the question. There are poor people who are happy, just like there are rich people who are unhappy. And there's poor people who are unhappy and rich people who are happy. There's fat people who are happy, fat people who are unhappy, and there's in-shape people who are unhappy, and there's in-shape people who are happy. There are women and men who are happy, and there's women and men who are unhappy. Therefore, there is no single denominator that determines your happiness. There is always an exception, or many exceptions. And so happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy right now. And no, that doesn't mean you need to be happy with where you are. It just means you can choose to enjoy the process of you getting wherever you want to go, which you will always push further off. And at that point, you just need to learn to enjoy the journey, but always pursuing a goal. But so happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy and enjoy the process, because once you do, you will make more progress towards whatever you want to achieve. And choose to be happy. Oh, and one other thing I liked was a quote from Napoleon, which is, he says something along the lines of, happiness is the byproduct of a life well lived, or a life lived in resonance with your values, or something like that. Basically, happiness comes by you living a life true to yourself, true to your nature. That's he uses the word nature, like true to your nature. That's where happiness comes from. Although yes, happiness is a choice, happiness is extremely difficult to achieve, or like it's difficult to be happy if you're living a life inauthentically, like you're living somebody else's life. If you live in fear, if you don't follow the universal principles for a good human life, which I will be adding on to this and are in the book that I'm currently writing, if you don't follow those principles, it is very hard to be happy. Still not impossible, but it's very hard. But all you need is to just follow the principles, which don't require you to have $1 million. Money will not buy you happiness. The people who tell you that all your problems will be fixed by money weirdly sell you a money course. That's kind of weird. Although yes, money can solve money problems, whatever. We can talk about that another time. But happiness is a choice. You can choose to enjoy the process. No, you will never achieve a perfect point where you have no problems. Problems are constant. So just choose to be happy now. And I'll see you in the next one.